Hey everybody, I'm back with a response video to the quartering. He made a video recently, like yesterday, day before, something like that, about the AAA game industry crashing. And some of the stuff that he talked about, I agree with. Some of it, I understand where he's coming from. Other things, mainly when he's talking about the stocks, I think he's just absolutely wrong. Now, I like the quartering for the most part. I agree with like 90% of the things that he talks about. But then there's things that he talks about that my opinion is different than his. So let's get into it.
Uninteresting titles, innovation stagnation, early aggressive discounting, tumbling stocks, and title fatigue are all reasons that I thought that the next triple A game industry crash was upon us. But I got it wrong. It's actually been going on for the last 6 months. Let's take a look at some of the reasons why. One of the indications that a company is scared financially is when they stop taking risks, when they stick to the same formula over and over again. And certainly, regardless of whatever title you might be interested in, you can tell 2018 and 2019 releases look very similar. If you look at Fallout 76 or the new Far Cry New Dawn title, or even Rage 2, these games all, while yes, the gameplay is different, it's like they all got the same PDF on how to stylize your game. And to me, they all bleed together stylistically, and I'm not inspired necessarily to jump in on any of them for this reason. Right, so here we start with alpha footage of the Far Cry New Dawn. It's post-apocalyptic. It's got high concentration of neon, like this Fortnite color palette. You know, it's yes, they're all unique, but now we move to Rage 2. We have the exact same kind of looking thing. Post-apocalyptic, high concentration of contrast, neon colors, kind of that goofy, Fortnite look. And yeah, again, the game is different in many ways, but it clearly is following the same guide. And we move to Fallout 76, post-apocalyptic. You've got some interactions with bright contrasting colors. While this is the least favorite of the three, you can see how similar they all are. Now, I realize that this is a bit of a broad generalization, but overall, I think my point stands as just one of many.
Now, he starts this out by saying all these things is why he thought the game crash was upon us, but he was wrong. It's been here for 6 months. Bullshit. But we'll get into that later. Now, he says like AAA game companies stop taking risks on games because of fear of financial failure and whatnot. I think that's probably one of the reasons. I think the bigger reasons is cheap and lazy. Then he talks about how like the new Rage and Fallout 76 and New Dawn, the Far Cry New Dawn, all kind of have the same look about them, the same color palettes and stuff like that. But that's something the game industry has done forever. They've always done that kind of stuff. I mean, you look at Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, they use the same engine, so whatever. But then there's Metro 2033, Mad Max, Metro Last Light, I Am Alive. I mean, that one is kind of a stretch, but you get the idea. Like, these are all dark and gritty post-apocalyptic games that came out roughly around the same time as each other, give or take. Clearly not as close quartered as like the games that he brought up that are all coming out within, I don't know, probably a year of each other.
We also see a significant amount of AAA or franchise fatigue. When you expect the player base to get hyped up every single year for a new Assassin's Creed title, or every single year for apparently now Far Cry titles or DLC mini updates, it's just not exciting after a while. I mean, yeah, Battlefield is cool. Yeah, Call of Duty is cool. But after you buy it and buy it and buy it year after year after year after year, and the video games industry has modeled themselves after the automobile industry in the United States, where you provide customers tiny incremental updates, just enough to make them purchase a new game and not a penny more, right? Then eventually, yes, that pays off because you're lowering your cost of development, but eventually the consumer is going to say, you know what? I'm not going to buy Madden this year. Really, all it is like new rosters and a new tackle move. Why am I going to run out and buy the new Madden? Or why am I going to run out and buy the new Battlefront? It's really the same thing. Or, I'm not really going to go buy the new Far Cry expansion because, Well, it's the exact same map, just with some new style and a little bit of an extension on the game. Yes, the hardcore fans will continue to buy it, but most casuals are just getting fatigued.
See, here again, I agree with him and disagree with him on some of these points that he makes. Like, yeah, all of the stuff that he's talking about here have gaming fatigue to them. Like, Assassin's Creed coming out each year gets tiring, no matter what. I mean, it does get tiring. But, like, he talks about how the game industry treats itself like the car industry, and, you know, and I think he has a point there that's correct, and I agree with. But, you know, when he says, like, oh, the teeny tiny, like, except for, like, Assassin's Creed is always a new story. There's writers and actors and stuff like that that go into making that stuff, and it's always different. Gameplay wise is, yeah, a lot of times, like, from what I've seen, I haven't played Odyssey, but, like, it looks exactly like Origins. So, like, to a point there, like, I don't agree with him because, you know, the single player stuff, I think the hardcore Assassin's Creed fans and the casual Assassin's Creed fans will keep buying those games because they're new stories. However, like, Madden's a great example of some fatigue there. Like, I stopped buying Madden games. Like, I think Madden 12, something like that, is the last one that I bought because I got sick of it. I got sick, like, for the exact reasons that he says. Like, they were constantly coming out with new stuff like QB Vision or something like that, or the truck stick that was just something that was already there, but now they're just glorifying it. And they make, like, no other real changes. And the only other big change to those games is either the graphics and the roster. And even the graphics are, like, nice changes, but minimal at best. And he talks about, like, Battlefield and Call of Duty. And see, those are also story based, but the hardcore fans are not there playing the single player. Like, I know a lot of hardcore fans of those games that don't even touch the single player at all. They just multiplayer. And when it comes to the multiplayer of those games, they're always the same, like he said. Like, I totally agree with that.
So they're going to accelerate their own deaths or restructures. Look, these companies are so huge that no, they're not going to close their doors. I mean, EA could probably survive on their sports titles alone, but you are going to see restructures. You are going to see deaths of franchises. You are going to see major layoffs at these companies. And I think you're going to start to see it in 2019 because so much of these companies' futures rely on the investors, okay? And that's the next point I want to make. I'm going to show you why it's here, okay? Let's look at EA's stock over the past 6 months. Peaked at $144. It is now 83. It's lost 50% of its value. And market valuation, look at the market cap, $25.19 billion, okay? They lost huge money, all right? And you might say, Jeremy, it's just EA. Wrong. Here's Activision. 6 month, they peaked at 83. They have now plummeted to 48. Let's just say for easy math, they have also plummeted by 50%. I mean, that is nuts. You're talking about market capital of almost $40 billion. Want more? How about Rockstar? Look what Rockstar did. They had Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar, BioWare, all these companies trade underneath Take-Two Interactive. Look at their 6 month, peaking at $140. Right now, it's at $105. And I bet you if Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't on this, it would be half. But still, that's a huge swing, right? Want to go further? Let's look at Ubisoft. 6 months, peaking at $24 a share. Right now, $15 a share. Nearly half of what they were. And these trends, look at the direction they're going. I mean, it's not in the middle of a bounce back. This is still in free fall. Look at EA. Now, you mean to tell me that this market reaction is just the market readjusting. It just has nothing to do with sales. And remember, people in the stock market aren't trading on what's normally happening right now. They're looking down the road.
This is where I just completely disagree, and I find what he's saying absolutely wrong. Like, he's talking about in the last 6 months how these companies have had their stock drop, and he says that the video game industry is crashing. Like, yeah, it's on a decline. There's no way around that, obviously. But to call it a crash is absolutely absurd. Like, you look at EA. EA, for the longest time, their biggest time was around 2006, and up until like now. Like, yes, it's on a big decline, as you can see here, but it's nowhere near even as bad as it was at their highest point in 2006. Activision, for the longest time, they had to steadily grow all the way up until like 2014, and then it spiked up. And yeah, there's a little bit of a spike down right now, but it's nowhere near as low as it's ever been in the past. And then you got Take-Two, who again has a little bit of a spike there, or a drop, I should say, but not even as bad as it was like 6 months ago. Like, look at that. Even this year, like, they had a lower point than they do right now. And none of it is as near as bad as it has been throughout their entire history. And then look at Ubisoft. Like, you can see here, like, they, again, like all the other ones, like all of these years have been going up and up and up, and you got your little jaggedy going downs and stuff like that, but like things are topping out in 2018, and there is a decline right now, sure, but as you can see, like at the very end, there's a little bit going up a little bit. And he talks about how, like, oh, the market, like, they don't look at just right now. They also look into the future and stuff like that. But you can't tell me all of these companies, when they've had their downtimes in the past, didn't have this same kind of thought and worriment about them when things have been bad. But you look at all of these, they're all pretty much the same, of gradually getting more and more successful over the years. And they have their drops, and maybe this drop that's going on right now is probably the worst that it's been in, I would say, the last year, 6 months, whatever. But it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I'm sure if I was to minimize onto any of these areas in the last 10 years and like really focus in on a small 1 year portion of that, you can see a huge decline somewhere where you could be like, oh, video games crashing. Nah, it's just bullshit, man. The video games industry is not crashing. And he says there's going to be restructures in 2019 and stuff, and franchise being killed off. That's a possibility. I mean, Activision killed off Guitar Hero. That's a possibility. Restructures may happen. I wouldn't guarantee it at all from any of this. I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, and don't get me wrong, investors are always worried about that fucking money. But again, to call this a video game crash, what happened in 1984, that was a fucking crash. Video games died. Nintendo had to call the Nintendo Entertainment System, because they were worried about calling it a gaming console because of how the industry was so fucking broken and destroyed, because gamers got tired of shitty games and shitty game consoles. We are not at all near anything like that, and I don't see it crashing anytime soon, if at all. But that's not to say it can't.
And I, for one, can't wait for the crash of the AAA giants. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
But you said that the crash was already here. You said, I thought the crash was upon us, but I was wrong. It's been here for 6 months. And now you're saying, I can't wait to see it happen. I think that just shows that he knows that this is bullshit. I think this video, I don't know, it does kind of reek of desperation in a way of like he wants to fearmonger about the gaming industry and stuff like that. I don't know. Whatever. Thank you for watching this. I really appreciate it. If you like it, thumbs up it. If you don't like it, thumbs down it. But at least give me some constructive criticism of why you didn't like it. Please. I need it, and I want it. See you next time.